So you booked that trip. You decided, I don't care how much it costs, I'm going to Switzerland. And you also decided to go in the spring or the fall to save money and to try to dodge the crowds. But it backfired and the off-season came with its negatives. Or at least, this is what happened to us. Twice.
Just woke up into the sun in Switzerland. We traveled for like 30 hours yesterday. It is 3:45 in the morning right now because we can't sleep because of the time change. So we have a 2-hour drive to Schottenhalb today, which is where we're gonna be based out of for the next 5 nights. And we weren't gonna be able to see Zermatt because it's kind of completely out of the way, but we decided we're awake. What would be the point of just sitting in bed and scrolling on Instagram for the next few hours? So we're gonna go and drive to Zermatt, and no plan whatsoever, but we're gonna go see what we can get into.
We originally scrapped this from the plan a few days ago when we were making our itinerary because we didn't have enough time here. But we were laying in bed, wide awake, and figured, why not? So we're headed to Zermatt.
With this video, I'm not trying to persuade you to not go to Switzerland or to not go during certain times of the year. I just want to share with you our reality and our experiences because Switzerland is one of the more expensive places I have traveled to. So if you're going to Switzerland, these are some factors that you should consider and just know ahead of time, because if you're going to be spending all this money on a trip to this amazing country, you want to make sure you get the most of it. So Brie and I went to the Alps in March and in May. In March, we flew into Zurich and went to Liechtenstein, Innsbruck, Bressanone, Sirmione, Lake Como, and Lucerne. Now, some of those locations are outside of Switzerland, but to be honest, this is actually because the weather in all of the places we were going to go in the Interlaken region was forecasted for complete whiteout clouds and rain and thunderstorms every single day. So we actually adapted our trip and had gone to these other countries. But even with our time in Lucerne, we had some of these conditions that I'm going to be talking about. So we couldn't see the peaks because they were either in the clouds or they were in wildfires, which made the views too smoggy to see anything. Wildfires are something that no one can control, so this was just bad luck, but the mountains being socked in the clouds seems to be relatively cyclical at this time of year. As usual on this trip, the weather's gonna dictate what we do because there's 1,000 cable cars and awesome stuff, but we're not gonna spend all that money if it's a waste of time. Per our luck of this trip and our last Alps trip, every single day it's rainy, every single day it's cloudy, and we are in Grindelwald today. And Grindelwald looks like arguably one of the coolest places in the world. I'm sure I've said that every day of this trip, but can't see anything, just had coffee, and some guy was like, it's not even worth it to go up. Again, parking was like $30 and going up is like $150, so another bust, but we'll find some cool stuff to do anyways. In May, we flew to Geneva and visited Geneva itself, Chamonix, and we spent quite a bit of time in Schottenhalb. Schottenhalb is a small town you may not have heard of, but it's 30 minutes from Interlaken, and it's an incredible base camp for day trips in Switzerland. However, on this second trip, we didn't see the peaks once during our 14 days in Switzerland. We visited Lauterbrunnen 2 times, Grindelwald 2 times, Interlaken 4 times, and Kandersteg 3 times. We also had on our list Mount Titlis and Mount Pilatus. Every day, we either had a failed mission or the webcams and weather forecast made it very clear that it wasn't even worth attempting to visit these places. So in the process of these trips, we spent a ton of money on parking, cable car tickets, gas, and so on. This might sound like complaining, and honestly, I almost didn't make this video, but really I'm saying all of this because I want this video to help people be aware as they plan their trip. Because while Switzerland is cheaper in the off season, which is the spring and fall, and there's less crowds, there's some factors that make me think it's not worth it. Morning.
Good morning. Good morning from the most beautiful place on earth that we cannot see. But we're chilling, just had a coffee, and now we're gonna go check to see if the cable car webcam looks good at the place.
So
Today, Grindelwald was a bust. Kandersteg and Lake Oceansea was a bust. A hot dog was the only food they had. Everything was a bust because the weather has been horrible all week and we haven't seen the mountains once.
Okay, so last night we checked the weather forecast and we decided it was in our best interests to go to Grindelwald because of the weather and sunshine and blah, blah, blah. We get there, couldn't see a thing. It was raining, super big buzzkill. Couldn't go to the top of the cable car route because total whiteout. So we decided to come back to Ladderbrunnen and shoot and get some souvenirs, and it still looks a little crappy, but it's so beautiful and now so special to us.
It's just so flat and so dull, which stinks because the drone shots we got were epic, but they just look like crap because of the light. But composition's really stoked with, so we're just gonna call this a scouting mission for a future trip. Chances are, with our luck on how this week has been, we're not gonna see the peaks, which sucks, but it should be an awesome day.
Whatever.
Okay, so we were en route to Kandersteg and we saw the peaks for the first time in 5 days. It's been such a bust of a trip as regards of seeing the peaks go and the cable cars and getting summit views. We've seen some incredible waterfalls and we've had an amazing 2 different days in Ladderbrunnen. But we haven't seen the mountain peaks. We've just seen the valley peaks and everything's been engulfed in clouds and rain since we started. We just saw the peaks. They peaked out for 20 minutes, so we beelined it on the highway to get here to Grindelwald, and the forecast is shit. You can't see anything. So we're going back to plan A. So we just drove an hour for nothing.
So evidently there is a cable car that goes to the Matterhorn Glacier. We're not sure of the visibility or conditions, but we're pretty certain it's snowy.
The harshest reality of our off-season May trip was Zermatt. We decided to send it last minute because we had some time to kill before we could check into our Airbnb in Schottenhaupt. Getting to Zermatt took hours, and we had to pay for gas, we had to pay for parking, we had to pay for train tickets to get into town, and we had to pay for lift tickets to take the cable car up to Gornergrat. Gornergrat is one of the absolute best views you can get in Switzerland, where you can see the famous Matterhorn in all of its glory. The cable car itself will cost you around 150 USD, which I actually think it gets more expensive in the summer, but this is what we paid. So all in all, for our Zermatt day alone, with everything we had to pay just to get there, we spent around 500 USD between the two of us for essentially nothing. Of course, the town of Zermatt was awesome, but you don't go there for the town. You go there for the Matterhorn. Between both of these trips, it's sad to say we spent a lot of money, wasted a lot of time, and didn't get to see a fraction of what we set out to see. Again, don't get me wrong, both trips were absolutely incredible, but in our experience, this is the reality of off-season travel to Switzerland. And the next time that we may get an opportunity to go there, we're gonna make sure that we go in August or September, even if it means being amongst the crowds and having to spend even more money. Because at the end of the day, our last 2 trips, we spent so much money combined and none of it was for the actual peaks that we set out to see. So next time we'll be making sure we go in the right months. Pretty socked in at the moment. Hopefully the clouds clear a little bit so we can actually see the full Matterhorn, but right now we just see a little bit of the Hornley Ridge.
We would have no idea that the Matterhorn is right behind us if we didn't know.
This is a huge bummer because we were in Switzerland, Italy, and Austria 2 months ago in March, and the same thing happened. It was a bust every time, whiteouts anytime we tried to go to the mountains, but this is the most expensive one. It is the start of the prime season, but I guess it's still technically off season, and I guess this is just one of the realities of it.
It was cold, snowy, very poor conditions and visibility, and it cost us a lot. Also, don't force it. If the webcams are shitty, just don't go, because it's a waste of time, a waste of vacation days that you may have off, and a waste of money. So we're always trying to be optimistic, and evidently our will doesn't work that well.
But anyways, that's going to wrap up this video. Thank you for watching, everyone. Please hit that subscribe button and check out some of the other travel guides and top 10s I have on the channel. But otherwise, I will see you guys later. Thanks for watching.